Welcome to the very first episode of the Nomad Summit Podcast. Well, actually, this is more like a teaser for what's coming up in the future. If you've ever been to a Nomad Summit event, or maybe just heard of it, you'll know that this is where digital nomads, remote workers, and location-independent people come together to share ideas, stories, and grow as a community. And this podcast is our way of keeping that conversation going all year round. My name is Palle Bo, but I'm not doing this alone. Joining me today, and many times going forward, are two people who live and breathe the nomad lifestyle and the main forces behind Nomad Summit. Christoph and Alexandra, welcome guys.
Hello, hello.
Thank you, Palle.
This episode is brought to you by Visit Estonia, the most digitally advanced country in Europe and virtual home for many digital nomads. Let's get to know each other, and let's start with you, Christoph. Can you give the listeners a quick intro? Who are you, and how did you get involved with the Nomad Summit?
I'm a full-time nomad for many, many years, and actually my nomadic journey is strongly connected with Nomad Summit as a brand. I attended the last two before COVID in 2019 and in 2020. So for those who have never heard of it before, the Nomad Summit is the longest standing digital nomads event and started back in 2015 in Chiang Mai in Thailand. And it had been an annual event until COVID. And after a long break, we brought it back this year in January 2025 to where it came from, the world capital of digital nomadism and remote work, back to Chiang Mai. I have personally signed off from my home country in Europe back in 2017. And since then, I have been traveling the world while living and working remotely in the insurance industry.
Mm-hmm. And you weren't involved with the Nomad Summit pre-COVID?
I had been a speaker and workshop host in the last two ones, 2019 and 2020, talking about the e-residency program of Estonia, which is also a very important community for myself and a place where my heart belongs to. So I'm spending every summer in Estonia, and now will be I think the 8th summer in a row this year.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Alexandra?
I have been a full-time digital nomad for the last 2 years. But I've already moved countries very often before that. So I kind of lived a semi-nomadic lifestyle before I even knew what a digital nomad was. Working as a web designer mostly. And I met Chris and the Nomad Summit team back in January for the Chiang Mai event and helped them with some project management for the Nomad Week. And now excited to continue this collaboration long term in a different role. One thing that really stood out to me in the digital nomad community once I found it, let's say, is how different it is from the communities and the people that I met before, in terms of that these are really the people that are building a life on their terms, very ambitious, very proactive, and that I find very inspirational and very fascinating. And overall find this community very inspirational because of that. And if there's something I can do to contribute to that and make it succeed and make it grow more, then that's our goal at Nomad Summit, I guess. Mm-hmm. And we align on that.
And you're currently in Madeira right now, both of you?
Yes, we have a little strategy week with the Nomad Summit team here in this European nomad hotspot on the beautiful island of Madeira.
Yeah, that's a place I need to go to. I haven't been there yet. I'm currently in Cape Town, and maybe I should say a few words about who I am. I am a full-time nomad, completely without a home base. I've been doing this for 9 years, and also I'm a podcaster. That's my work. I do my own podcast, The Radio Vagabond, and then I help clients produce podcasts. So I'm so happy to be involved with this, and I'm looking forward to what this is going to bring us.
Sounds exciting.
Now, let's talk about why we're doing this podcast. Christoph, why did you feel it was the right time to launch a Nomad Summit podcast?
When we decided to bring back the Nomad Summit, we started that with big ambitions from day one. So we wanted to bring back the lighthouse event that the Nomad Summit has been in the past. So the summit in January in Chiang Mai is back as an annual event, but we also have different smaller or more specific events coming up this year, like in August in Estonia. But we want to engage the community in between the events as well. So we want Nomad Summit to be a platform that has a website with a lot of helpful information, that has a newsletter that people like to open and like to read, and also being inside the ears of people, ideally once a week, with interesting stories and the latest updates from the community is something that fits the Nomad Summit brand as we see it very well.
Yeah, and we were actually at the pre-COVID events, both of us at the same time, but we didn't really talk that much. And then one night in Chiang Mai, before the summit, we were at a networking event, and I casually said, "Oh, Chris, you should have a Nomad Summit podcast." And you said, "Yeah, let's talk about that."
And also, I looked at you, Palle, and I was like, your face looks familiar. I don't know why. And only days later, I realized that the entire afternoon I was working on a blog post about the Nomad Summit with a picture of people talking. So it was a blog post about networking at an event. And I chose from old picture galleries of the Nomad Summit in Chiang Mai, a picture where 3 people were talking to each other. And the main person on that picture was you, Palle. So I was looking at a picture of you all afternoon. And then I met you in the evening. I was like, you look familiar. You look familiar. But I didn't realize in that moment, only the next day when I came back to this blog post.
Yeah, that was so funny.
Yeah, so it turns out we had both been to past Nomad Summits, but hadn't met. And also it turned out that we also had both been to the Nomad cruise going from Tenerife to Brazil.
Yeah.
But among those like 400 people, our paths didn't cross enough that we actually came to engage with each other.
Yeah.
But that's also a big part of the mission that we have with Nomad Summit. We want to bring people together. So an event is always in this triangle between content, entertainment, and connection. And the connection part is one that is really at the bottom of the concept and the mission of Nomad Summit, and also a big reason for this podcast. This is not like meant as a one-way entertainment. I mean,
no.
You as a listener right now are probably quite passive in terms of interacting with us. We are in your ears, but we will also want to have your comments. We want to get your feedback and maybe have you as one of our future guests in one of our episodes here.
Absolutely.
You can always reach out to us at team@nomadsummit.com. Write an email if you think you have an interesting story to share. Or come to our events, meet us in person, because that's the number one place where we scout the most interesting people that we will have as guests on our podcast.
Alexandra, from your perspective, what do you think makes this podcast important for the community?
I think it's important because, first of all, from our Nomad Summit perspective, we really want to aim to create content that is actionable and practical and very real for the digital nomads. Something that is really applicable and can help people level up in terms of their journey to freedom. So that's very important for us, and that's from the practical side of why this podcast matters and why is it going to be useful, let's say. But also, to be honest, I think from the emotional side of things, as digital nomad community is very much spread across the globe, things like this, where we can talk to real people and exchange some real stories, make this community feel more connected, even though we are far away. And it might not always be easy for people to find like-minded people in whatever destination they are traveling to. Mm-hmm. But then this kind of communities is something where they can turn to find that feeling of connectedness and being real and being authentic and just being human to human, even if it's through the internet. 100%.
And people you can learn from. I mean, this is also one of the important things. The Nomad Summit as an event offers a stage for really inspiring and hands-on talks, people sharing how they got maybe one step ahead of where I am today and who I can really learn from. Mm-hmm. And that is something that we want to carry forward with this podcast as well.
Before we continue, a quick shout out to the sponsor of this episode, Visit Estonia and the Estonian Digital Nomad Visa. If you're a remote worker looking for a beautiful, modern and super digital friendly place to live and work, Estonia should absolutely be on your radar. It's one of the most digitally advanced countries in the world and home to a thriving nomad and startup scene. And with Estonia's digital nomad visa, you can legally live and work there for up to a year. That's right, no visa runs, no grey zones, just a solid legal base in the heart of Northern Europe. I've spent time there myself, and let me tell you, the community, the vibe, the freedom is the real deal. And in fact, Nomad Summit is registered as a company in Estonia for good reasons. And Christoph goes there to spend the summer every single year. He's done that for 8 years. You can learn more at e-resident.gov.ee/nomadvisa. Yeah, a bit of a long link, so we put it in the notes section for this episode. And now, back to the show. So what can people expect from the show? Who are the guests going to be? What are the topics going to be?
It's going to be a lot of different things that are relevant for the digital nomad community, starting from the things that are on probably most of the digital nomad minds, such as the daily realities of the nomad life, the main nomad hubs, the emergent nomad hubs, the tips for travels and so on, but also dab in a little bit deeper in our episodes to the human and emotional side of this lifestyle, how to build relationships, how to maintain relationships, how to battle loneliness, how to build communities, how to have that feeling of belonging, even if you're alone traveling across the world. But also, as I said previously already, it's very important for us to keep the content real and support people in terms of their economic growth and economic path to freedom. So also we're going to have a lot of content about the practical tips on how to scale from being a remote employee, let's say, to a freelancer, and then to a founder, to a solopreneur, to an entrepreneur, how to set up your tax residencies and whatnot, all this kind of practical business things that are relevant for any kind of nomad that wants to build their location-independent economic entities and freedom.
Yeah, in the end, the Nomad Summit is meant to be a platform that helps people to get to the next step in this journey of freedom. And you get that best if you listen to others who share their stories, who share the mistakes they made, the learnings they got from there, the hacks and tricks, the latest technology, or other untold secrets and gems. That's what this podcast is also for, in addition to the talks and the side events and all those in-person opportunities that we create with Nomad Summit.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to busting some myth about what the nomad lifestyle is all about. Because if we Google, do a picture search of digital nomads, we'll get people sitting with a laptop on the beach, and I don't do that often.
Madeira. Beach is really not ideal place to be at.
No, I don't want sand in my Mac.
Once you try it.
All right, so that's a little teaser of what's coming up here in the Nomad Summit podcast. So if you're a digital nomad, remote worker, or just curious about the lifestyle, this podcast is for you. Go ahead and click follow or subscribe in your podcast app and join us on the journey. And hey, if you know of someone dreaming to become a digital nomad, send them this episode and tell them about the podcast. Thanks for listening, and we will see you very, very soon.
Produced by radioguru.co.uk.